Adam Lerner, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about an editorial assignment that I was hired to do a few months ago of the accomplished and renowned beat poet Hettie Jones. Hettie Jones is a beat poet. She was part of, I guess, the founding beat poet scene here in New York City. Very, very interesting woman. She has lived in her Bowery apartment for over 50 years. She raised 2 kids there. The University of Mary Washington, which I guess is her alma mater, hired me to do a cover and an inside 2-page spread featuring Hettie on the cover to highlight some of the great people that went to the university. So I took this as an incredible challenge, and I said, absolutely, I'd love to do this. And once I got this assignment, I got into talking to the folks that run the magazine, and they were telling me that Hettie was a little bit reluctant about having her picture taken, that in fact she hated having her picture taken, and in her entire career had maybe had 1 picture of her taken that she actually liked. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to take that as a challenge, because obviously I really want to do the assignment and I want to make a really great picture. And I'd love to be able to make some great pictures of her that she actually enjoyed as well. So after going back and forth, I actually had the opportunity to talk to Hettie, and in talking to her, she couldn't have been nicer. She made it very, very clear that she hated having her picture taken. She also made it very clear that she was an incredibly busy person and didn't really want to take up too much of her time with it, which I totally understand. Obviously, if it's something that you don't like doing, you certainly don't want to devote a lot of time to it. But I assured her that we would make things really nice and comfortable, that I'd be in and out, that I had a very small, portable, non-invasive setup, and that we would, hopefully make some really nice photos. Speaking of the portable setup, I brought a bunch of speed lights, some stands, some pocket wizards, just, a bunch of stuff, nothing too fancy. So I arrive at her Bowery apartment, and it's a 4th floor walk-up. Typical New York City. So of course I've got all my gear. It's raining out. I'm like drenched. I got, camera bag, big, think tank airport security full of stuff. I've got a stand bag with all kinds of modifiers on it and whatnot. Carried all the way up to the top of her stairs, and there I'm greeted by all 5 feet of her. The other thing I'm thinking about as well is that, okay, she's not, a very tall woman. But of course, I don't want to do anything diminutive. I want to emphasize, her status, because she's, obviously a very strong and influential and important person who's had an amazing career, who continues to have an amazing career, and I wanted to portray that strength and that energy in her photos. So get to her apartment, walk around, and it's a beautiful space. Typical, well, I don't even know if it's typical. It's kind of a unique New York City apartment. She's got the entire top floor of this old, I guess it probably was previously a tenement building. In fact, she said it was originally a cold water flat, that when she and her ex-husband took over the place, there was no hot water, there was no heat, the windows were all messed up, the floors were screwed up. I mean, it was like one of those kind of labors of love. But they took it over, they bought the place, and she's really done an amazing job with it. It's full of all kinds of beautiful stuff. Really very warm and inviting kind of space, although she's very, very private. So I definitely respected that, and I had her give me a tour. We toured around, and I looked in her kitchen, and I asked her, I said, where's your favorite place to hang out in the kitchen, like where you might read some poetry or write some poetry? And she indicated that there's this chair at the end of the table that's under a skylight, and that's like her spot. In the morning she reads poetry there, and it was amazing. Like, she sat in that chair and she pulled open a book that she had right there, and she just started to read. And she is a reader. She is somebody that has that gift of reading and delivering poetry, which was really incredible. And I'm just sitting there in amazement. Here I am. I've just met this incredible woman, and now she's reading from some poetry that she loves, some really powerful stuff, and I'm witnessing this. So we got to tour around her apartment. I saw some really nice spaces, that featured like really nice light, nice detail, not too crazy, not too cluttered. And then we ended up, we go into her office, we see her desk, and it is like a command center. She's got it completely dialed in. And I'm looking around, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This would make a really great environmental portrait. She had emphasized how she really doesn't like being photographed without her glasses. She also said that, you know, she was worried about her skin, all this other kind of stuff. And I said, look, you know, I'll shoot, you know, with the softest light that I have, and we'll make it look great. So I took a small shoot-through umbrella, put it on a boom so that it was close to her, and dialed it in so that we got a nice blend of ambient light and natural light. And we did some great shots over there. We did some shots by her bookshelf. We found this really terrific, or I found this hallway that I thought was really neat because it had a skylight in there, and the light was just bouncing around in the hallway in there. We went into her living room, which I guess visually didn't have the same kind of impact, but again, it had another skylight, so it made for some nice light. And, you know, we just had a really, really fun day of it. And, you know, it turned out that Hettie actually loved the pictures. She said that in her career and being photographed, I was the only other photographer that had ever photographed her that she actually liked the photographs from. So I thought that was an incredibly huge compliment. And I also felt that I rose to the challenge. So let's go in here and we'll look at some of these images really quick. And let's see. So very first thing off the bat, this is the cover image that was used. And this was her sitting in that breakfast nook at her table, and she was just reading some poetry over there. Very nice and relaxed look. And this was the environmental portrait at her writing desk that I absolutely loved this shot, and she loved it as well. So let's go and look at some of the shots that we have here. And, you know, we just got started in here, you know, just a nice kind of a relaxed look. You know, she was getting comfortable with things. I kind of ultimately wasn't really crazy about that glass of water. Just had her kind of figure out different positions, and then, you know, this kind of came about, and we're like, you know, that's definitely more in lines with what we're looking for. You know, she was very conscientious about like how, you know, her smile. She didn't really want to show her teeth. So, you know, it was kind of a fine line. So this was, you know, the image. And as I'm shooting with her, there was a lot of interaction. You know, I'm talking to her. She was telling stories about her kids, talking about her work. I was showing her the back of the camera so that she could actually see, you know, how things looked. I was also being very conscientious because I was worried about, you know, any kind of reflections from the flash or the umbrella in the window. I didn't want to have any kind of reflections in her glasses. So on my end, you know, I'm doing my best to try to dial things in to keep her engaged and move on and so forth. But this is one of my faves right here. We put her by this this bookshelf. She's just got this incredible, you know, all this inspiration, all this great stuff in there. Thought that was really wonderful. This was her in her, you know, living room. This is the skylight, you know, pushing some really nice light down there. Although I liked the photos that were there, just not a lot of really super interesting stuff that really kind of tells you about who she is and what she's all about. These were some portraits that were done in that hallway that I told you about, and just, you know, nice portraits, but again, perhaps less informative of her as an artist, but just really nice stuff. This was in her kitchen, and then we moved over to that little nook where she likes to read in the morning, and we just started taking some photos, and she started reading some poetry. And what I did is, while she was reading, she kind of just really relaxed herself, and then I just said, you know, at certain points, you know, just why don't you just kind of look at me, hold that, and then we ended up getting the shot that we ended up running with for the cover. And, you know, these were some of her other shots, just having some fun in there. And that was pretty much it. So, you know, there you go. There's what it's all about. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we ended up with this nice cover and this really nice inside spread. So I'm really happy with it. I thought it was a terrific assignment. I really got to meet somebody who was really special, who let me into their home, which is kind of a unique thing. You know, you don't often get that kind of access to certain people. I learned a lot more about her and about beat poetry as well. You know, I got a cover and a 2-page inside spread out of the deal, so kind of a win-win for everybody. So that's it for now, guys. I just wanted to share a little bit of what happens behind the scenes. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. That's it for now, and we'll see you soon.